Hi, everybody. I'm Melinda Emerson, the small biz lady, America's #1 small business expert. And I would like to welcome you to tonight's episode of the Small Biz Chat podcast. Today's show has something for any curious business owner. We're going to speak with a pioneer in the CBD industry, and we have a doctor in the house who's going to explain how we can all go further faster in our lives. And we're going to turn our attention to what's wrong with marketing. All of us are going to discuss how to get better results in your business, no matter what your business is. My guests tonight have some amazing insight to share. And if you have an interest in the CBD and cannabis industry, we're going to talk with a major manufacturer who's going to talk to us about what it takes to be in that business. If you've been struggling in your business or personal life since the pandemic, our guest expert is going to give you some insight so that you can feel okay to be human again, right? And if you are working on your marketing and it is overwhelming, we have an expert here that's going to share some advice that's going to help you no matter with what marketing challenge you have in your business. The Small Biz Chat podcast is a peer-to-peer interview show that gives small business owners a way to get invaluable business advice from top experts in the country. The mission of Small Biz Chat is to end small business failure. We broadcast Small Biz Chat live on my Facebook page, as well as my Small Biz Lady YouTube channel. The goal of the Small Biz Chat podcast is to give our small business audience the opportunity to hear sage advice to take their business to the next level. Tonight's guests are CBD entrepreneur Kayla Fioravanti, and we're going to be talking with Joseph Mcclendon III. He is a doctor who's going to talk to us. He's a neuropsychologist and a business coach. I mean, gosh, he does so many things. It's hard to even describe all the things that he does. So he's going to drop some major pearls on us tonight. And we're going to talk with the CEO of 150birds.com. And he is going to give us some insight on all things marketing. So now it's time for me to introduce my very first guest, Kayla. I always mess up your last name. Please forgive me. It's like Fioravanti, right? Did I get it right?
It's all kinds of versions. I answer to a lot of things, but it's Fioravanti.
Fioravanti. I was close. Okay. Kayla Fioravanti has been a leading expert in the natural cosmetics industry as a cosmetic formulator for over 22 years. She's always had a deep passion for aromatherapy and natural personal care products. In 1998, she co-founded Essential Wholesale, one of the first all-natural cosmetic ingredients companies, which was listed on the Inc. 5,000 of the fastest growing companies in America. Essential Wholesale started out of her kitchen and grew into a multi-million-dollar business, formulating for large cosmetic brands and small businesses. Now they have a CBD brand, Ology Essentials, and she's here to talk to us about what's going on in the CBD industry. Kayla, it's so good to see you.
You too. It's great to see you and be part of this.
Awesome. All right. So you have been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. How did you get started in the natural cosmetics industry?
I basically kind of stumbled into it. I'm an accidental aromatherapist, and I found that tea tree cured my son's ringworm after everything else failed. And that got me fascinated because I'm allergic to fragrances. So it was something that smelled and it didn't make me sick. I read everything there was to read on aromatherapy, became certified, and then I was like, well, what do I put these essential oils into? Because I was also allergic to the cosmetics that were in the industry at the time, personal care products, things like that I couldn't use. So I went to the library, read all the patents on chemical formulas, and then kind of went back and started experimenting and talking to labs and finding out what I could do. They said it can't be done. So I was like, all right, well, watch me. And I was in the right place at the right time. The world was looking for natural cosmetics, and I started providing bulk natural cosmetics just at the right time.
Yeah, and how I first heard about you and heard you first speak was at the Indie Business Cruise Conference, and you really talked about the CBD industry in getting started in it. So I was really grateful to have you come on here today to talk to us about it. So talk to us about CBD, because I think there's a big question mark. I think people think CBD is cannabis. And I was wondering if you could like kind of clear that up for everyone so that they understand what is the substance that, you know, is still illegal in some places in America, and what is the substance that CBD is made out of.
So both cannabis, the cannabis plant produces both marijuana, which is the illegal product, and hemp. And so they both come from the same family, but they're different genes. And so they have different makeups. The hemp marijuana plant has a really high level of THC, which is illegal in many states, and a really low level of CBD. Whereas the hemp plant, its cousin, has a really high level of CBD and a really low level of THC. So you could smoke, you know, an entire plant of hemp and you couldn't get high because the level of THC is so low. And CBD is the part where people are getting the pain relief and, you know, less stress, all that kind of stuff that they get from the cannabis family without getting high.
Got it. Got it. All right. So how did you switch gears from sort of like aromatherapy, personal care products to now doing it with CBD? Because you're kind of still developing personal care products, right? But it's like with the CBD ingredient in it.
Right, right. So I sold Essential Wholesale in 2011. And when I sold, I had a non-compete that kept me out of the industry for 6 years. And seemed like when I signed it, it seemed like nothing, but 6 years is a really long time when you love something. So I was planning on getting back in the industry. I have an aromatherapy school that I was going to be launching, and I did. And I was just going to be formulating for people. And my son just kept being like, you got to try CBD, you got to try CBD, you got to try CBD. And I was like, I've seen every natural ingredient under the sun. It can't be that great. And I was wrong. And he was persistent. I had been having a medical issue that I had finally given up and was about to have surgery for it. And I had tried everything natural, everything medicine had to offer, and finally was just going to go have a hysterectomy. And I could, because nothing else could resolve it. And so I got the CBD thinking it would do nothing for that. Like I didn't even imagine it would. And after 3 days of taking it, all the symptoms I had been struggling with for years were gone. So I called my son and I was like, what are we doing? What's our business going to be? You know, like we're getting into this industry. This is a life-changing thing. So we basically took my original plan of formulating and decided we'd put out a brand and include CBD in what we were doing.
Well, I can testify actually as one of your customers that your CBD full spectrum oil does work. I was somebody who suffered, I fell 2 years ago and tore my meniscus. And I did not know before that time that I had osteoarthritis in my knee. It was like my fall woke up a sleeping giant, and I started having like random pain. And I when after I met you at the conference, I had been interested in CBD, but to be honest with you, I was scared of CBD because there's so many fraudsters and people out here selling stuff, claiming for it to be, you know, the real McCoy, if you will. And honestly, it wasn't until I heard your talk and you told me that you actually manufacture your own products. That's what made me actually first get on your website and place an order, which is what I did. And so I think that it's important to know there's some charlatans in your industry as well as folks that are doing good business and big business. And so I wanted to kind of talk to you about, you do manufacture your own products and you wholesale CBD products for other brands as well, right?
Yeah, I do. And we private label, white label for a lot of different brands internationally and throughout the United States.
So if you're looking to buy CBD products, what are some of the things as a consumer that you need to be looking for, particularly in terms of the packaging or the testing and that kind of stuff? What do you need to be looking for?
I really recommend looking for brands that have a QR code on the package so that when you're in the store, you can scan that QR code. It'll take you to the website, and you want to look at the certificate of analysis that shows you, it's very readable, how much CBD is in there, how much THC, which by law, it has to be 0.3% or less, and can basically show you that it's not full of pesticides, it's not full of all these other things that are really common in poor quality CBD. So I really recommend looking for that. You want to look for companies that are just really transparent and full disclosure about their products. The product should always be in colored glass, amber, whatever, something protecting it from sun and light, because it does oxidize. And so if you buy something in a clear bottle, you're going to have a pink product later. So you want to make sure that, and it also is kind of a telling thing that maybe they don't really know the industry and what they're working with if they're not in the proper packaging for it. So those are the big things you're looking for. I don't recommend, if it's really cheap, there's a lot of times a good chance. I mean, the CBD prices have come down significantly, and we reduce our price constantly to keep up with those prices coming down, but they're not cheap still. And if you find things that are cheap, kind of be aware. Sometimes people just put hemp oil, which comes from the seed, contains no CBD, no THC, no nothing, and just has some good fatty acids in it, and they'll sell that as CBD. So I've heard people say, I use CBD, it didn't work. And then they'll bring me the brand. I'm just curious. I'd love to see. I'm trying to really understand what's happening in the industry. And they'll bring it to me, and I'm like, yeah, there's no CBD in this. Like, that's why it didn't work.
Right. So now if you're interested in, doing this as a business, though, there's a lot of stuff you need to think about in terms of how to select a manufacturer. And I really kind of want to get into, if you're looking to partner with someone to build a line of CBD products or something for you, what kinds of things do you need to be looking at?
You're going to want to look for that transparency where they're happy to show you test reports, not trying to hide that. For some reason, that in some companies, they just don't like to show that. You want them to be willing to show you their test reports, willing to send your product out to be tested. Generally, you're going to have to pay for that because it's expensive. But I highly recommend people who are just willing to do that testing for you, send it out, not trying to hide anything. We'll often put everything in the customer's name so that all the results go directly to them. And they can know that what they're getting is what they say they're getting, and then they should be sharing that with their consumers as well. So you really want people who are encouraging you on that, kind of pointing out whether your insurance, you need a different level of insurance, because CBD isn't covered by regular cosmetic industry insurance or supplements. It has to be special CBD insurance. And so you want to make sure, is what you're doing going to go under their plan, or do you need another plan, and why? And kind of, you want to understand that up front. That's one of the big things, the big obstacles are insurance, banking, and social media. And
all right. So let's talk about that. Since you opened that door, let's walk through it. So tell me about, what are the challenges with banking if you're going to have a CBD business?
So most banks are starting to let you go in now, but originally they were not. So you need to talk to people ahead of time. I'm going to sell CBD. Can I bank here? Because you don't want to be shut down midway. You need to know whether your carrier, like your PayPal or Square, who's going to cover your transactions. PayPal at this point will not, but Square will. But you have to have set up a CBD policy plan with them. Those are big things up front. Your insurance needs to be specifically for CBD, not for food, not for cosmetics, but for CBD.
Mm-hmm. And then you said social media was the third one. So how is social media an obstacle? It seems like you can sell anything with social media.
No, you cannot. You can't sell mind-altering things. And so CBD still is considered mind-altering, even though it's not mind-altering. So because of our cousin, marijuana, we still get categorized with the marijuana industry in certain aspects. So we can get shadow banned if we talk about CBD, and we cannot advertise. They do not allow it. And we just have to be really creative in what we say and our imagery, because we will get shadow banned and have posts shut down.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So do you find yourself then you guys try to boost blog posts and stuff instead of actually doing direct ads?
We don't do any ads at all. And we haven't ever, because you're not allowed to. And then we've just been really lucky. I have a good reputation in the industry, so we haven't really had a need for advertising when it comes to the private label, white label side of things, because we just keep growing. So we've been lucky on that side. We could, like, if we wanted to do we manufacture CBD products and non-CBD products. And if we wanted to advertise that side, we really could. And if we ever get to that point where we need to, then that's what we would focus on.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, I'm going to take a break right now, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about the do's and don'ts and pitfalls of going into the CBD industry. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady. You're watching the Small Biz Chat Live, and we'll be right back.
People always ask me, how can I become my own boss? With multiple features in the New York Times, Forbes, and on ABC News as America's #1 small business expert, I know a thing or two about how to do it. Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady, and I've been coaching small business owners since 2008. That's right, I've been helping small business owners plan for success since the last recession, and I'm still here reaching over 3 million small business owners a week online. I've spent the last 12 years compiling exactly what I did to become my own boss. I even broke it down into a 6-step system in my best-selling book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months. Over 100,000 people in multiple languages around the world have this book, and due to the pandemic, I know people need help. If you're ready to transition successfully from being an employee into your own business, I'm here to help. I'm giving away 1,000 copies of Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months for free. All you need to do is pay for shipping. That's right, I'm giving away 1,000 copies for free. If you've always wanted to start your dream business, let me give you a roadmap to success. This offer will only be available while supplies last, and when they're gone, they're gone. Click on the button to grab your copy today.
Welcome back to Small Biz Chat Live. I am back with my guest, Kayla Fioravanti, who is dropping knowledge on us about getting started in the CBD industry. Kayla, I want to know, what are the biggest mistakes you see people making in this industry? It's still like nascent, right? I mean, it's not like it's so mature. So what kind of mistakes do you see some people getting into?
I think the biggest mistakes I've seen are people spending way too much money up front. They see it as like this huge industry that's going to be giant, and it will be over time, like we're growing, but they're spending up front as if we're already there. And then the sales aren't there to justify that. So really looking for small minimums, running in test the waters, have, if you've already got a brand, then like put one product out and see how that goes. And then kind of grow from there rather than putting, I've seen all kinds of people put $1 million in up front and they are out of business already. And lots of people who have done that. And during the pandemic, we saw some of the companies go under that I knew of the kind of investments and the spending they did up front. And during that slowdown initially was enough to take them down.
Wow. So do you think that, it's a good opportunity? Do you think that people should consider the CBD industry?
Definitely. It's a great opportunity and it's really changing people's lives. And there's a lot of word of mouth advertising, more than any other industry I've ever been in, is the word of mouth. People will use something, they tell somebody else, and it just kind of explodes in customers based on word of mouth. We have no advertising ability, but people keep going out there and talking about how CBD is changing their lives. So there's there's definitely opportunity. And that you just can't put all your eggs there and all of them at a really high dollar amount. Just come in, walk in slowly. You don't want to come in and put all your eggs in one basket and just go under that way. But yeah, there's great opportunity. Just, it's going to take a minute.
All right. And then what has it been like to run a business with your son and your daughter-in-law? Like, you guys are a family business. So how do you manage all that?
It's been great, actually. My son grew up in my business at Essential Wholesale. Literally, I was homeschooling him when I first started Essential Wholesale, and like towards the end of homeschooling, before I put him in school, part of his homework would be like, all right, so fill these bottles, count them, and like coming up with creative ways to turn what we had to get done into homework. But so he definitely grew up in the industry, and it's been so much fun. We've been really blessed. We communicate really well. There's been no big family drama, which is great. My daughters also work there as well. They're also part owners now, and it's been surprisingly amazing, because you do hear a lot of people's nightmares, but ours has been. Everybody has. I think what really works with us is everybody has a seat on the bus and they stay in their seats. Like, I don't try and go do Haley's job, and Haley doesn't come try and formulate, and we don't boss each other around. It's here's what you're good at, your marketing, the visual and doing all that. That's what Haley does. Keegan runs the whole overall business of it all. My youngest daughter does a lot of manufacturing with me. Middle daughter does a lot of the filling, and everybody just kind of grows in their positions, but we really stay in our seats and don't go trying to boss the other people around, and it really works.
Well, that sounds like good business advice. And on that note, what is the best business advice anyone's ever given you?
Always have a mentor, and use the mentor, whether that's a business coach or a mentor, somebody you can bounce things off of. And every mistake I've ever made in business has been when I didn't pass it by my mentor. It's when I thought I had a great idea, I ran with it, and then I was like, oh man, that was a big mistake. And then kind of had to come back to my coach or mentor and say, what do we do now?
Exactly. I can totally relate. You definitely need a confidential sounding board to be successful in business, because every idea you come up with might not be a good one. Right? All right. Thank you so much, Kayla. I really appreciate your valuable insight. And up next, we're going to be talking about how you can go further faster in your small business. You're watching the Small Biz Chat podcast. I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady, and we'll be right back.
Is now the right time to start a business? This is the second most frequently asked question people always ask me, along with how can I become my own boss? And they aren't wrong for asking, because right now, these are the two most important questions anyone whose job security has been recently impacted is wondering. Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, better known as Small Biz Lady. And when it comes to small business success, I've been featured multiple times on MSNBC and CNBC and ABC News as America's #1 small business expert. Since the last recession in 2008, I have helped many small business owners plan for success, and I'm still here, reaching 3 million entrepreneurs each week online. I've created a system that will teach you exactly how to become your own boss. I broke it all down into a 6-step system in my best-selling book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months. It's the exact roadmap to help you successfully transition from having a job to being your own boss. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, many folks are suffering, and I want to do my part to help. I'm giving away 1,000 copies of my book for free. All you need to do is cover the shipping. If you have always wanted to start your dream business, let me give you a roadmap to success. Take advantage of my free offer while supplies last. Click the button below to grab yours before they're all gone.
Welcome back to the Small Biz Chat podcast. Now, let me introduce my next guest, Joseph Mcclendon III. He's one of the most sought after ultimate performance specialists in the world. Woo! Woo, that's saying something. He has a PhD in neuropsychology, and he has unique techniques to rapidly trigger the personal change that effectively moves to take you from consistent action to go further faster with your personal and business achievements. Joseph hosts the Cure for the Common Life podcast, and he's delivered hundreds of workshops, coaching sessions, keynote addresses, and training programs all over the world, and it has been a partner of Tony Robbins for a super long time. And so welcome, Joseph, to the show. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you, Melinda. So happy to be here, and thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. How could I not want to talk to the ultimate, most sought after, ultimate performance specialist in the world? Lord, fix me. Okay, start with me. Okay, so, all right. So on that note, how did you get there? Tell me, I got to hear the origin story. That how does one become the most sought after performance specialist in the world? Tell me.
Well, the condensed version is I got started because somebody helped me. I had a very, very low point in my life. When I was 17 and a half years old, 3 grown men tried to take my life because of the color of my skin. And it devastated me. It absolutely devastated me. It took away my self-esteem. It took away my self-pride, my confidence, and literally gave me a level of self-loathing that I hated myself. And as a result, I became homeless. I lived in a cardboard box in a place called Lancaster, California. And what changed my life, as cliche as it sounds, is somebody gave me a book. They gave me the book Think and Grow Rich. And I read the book, and I always tell people I didn't just read the book, I did what the book said. And I got some results. And when I started to get really quick results. But when I went back to the gentleman that helped me, that gave me the book, and I said, how do I repay you? How do I give back to you? Because that's the way I was raised. What he said to me was, he goes, Joseph, you repay me by doing the same thing that I've done for you, for as many people as you possibly can, for the rest of your life. Now, I was young and I didn't really take it to heart right then, because I was, I was homeless. I needed to help myself. But as time went on, I started to recognize one of the things that I learned early on was it's not the world that is our challenges. Most of the time, it is us, how we deal with things. And I started to study psychology and study how I could change myself. And then, of course, I started moving on and helping other people as well. And as you know, it is unbelievably fulfilling and lucrative.
Joseph, why do you think people struggle with performance and productivity? And did the pandemic make that worse?
It did. It did. I always tell people that inherent in all of us is procrastination, hesitation, fear of failure, fear of success, self-doubt, self-loathing, all of those things that are the thieves of our dreams. They show up at the most inopportune times to cause us to stagnate, to just not perform at our best. And what you just said is absolutely true. The pandemic made all of us come face to face with ourselves. All of those things, not all of them happened all at the same time, but all of us had to come face to face with it. Here we are within these 4 walls with, if you're fortunate, you had family. And if you were unfortunate, you had family that were around, to antagonize you and those kinds of things. And we had to face ourselves and a lot of people, some people went the fear route and let's just say medicated themselves, if you will. And I'm not just talking about substance. I'm talking about medicated themselves with watching too much television and doing things that enhance those procrastinations. And some people thrived. And what I found is the people that thrived are the people that, they got that culture shock, got that shock, and then said, hey, wait a minute, I don't like this, and let me do something about it. Let me learn something about myself, what causes me to be that way, and at least start looking into it and seeking out ways. And then people started to change as a result.
I believe you're right. I think there was like a 3 to 6 month, like, oh my God, are we still at home thing that people did? And then it was like, oh, well, I better figure out something else. I better figure out something to do here. I mean, I even went through that myself, but out of that came an amazing idea. And we created Small Biz Lady University. So, but at first I was like, okay, nobody's calling me to do anything. Yeah. Wow. Like, I even went through that. Does the world still need the Small Biz Lady thing? And then somebody was like, did you really say that? I'm like, yes, I actually said it out loud. and it was like, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Of course the world needs a small business. All right, so anyhow, the thing is that you all of us have that, what we call that obnoxious inner roommate, right? That person that starts saying crazy stuff to you and you start believing it, right? The person that tells you can't do that, girl. What are you talking about? All that stuff. So we have to figure out how to quiet that person. But isn't that person always kind of there? That inner roommate that starts telling you crazy stuff?
He or she is always there. And what most people don't realize is that you can take charge and demand, command, and condition he or she to talk to you the right way. Because you wouldn't let your child talk to you that way. Why would you let you? And the deal is, if we, and I call it Neuro Encoding, we can literally encode ourselves to respond and default to our best behavior, because we don't always beat ourselves up. The challenge is most of us, it's freewheeling. We don't believe that we have control of it. We're unconscious to it. And it was ironic what you were just saying there. I went through it as well. Yes, me too. When there was a day, and I remember the exact day, Melinda. It was March the 15th, 2020. I looked at my calendar and there was nothing there, and I was booked for speaking, because that's what I did prior to COVID. I was booked into 2022 every single month around the world. And I had one of my promoters called me up and he goes, Joseph, we got to cancel some more gigs. And I said, no worries. And I went to my calendar and canceled it. You know how I have Outlook. So when you click on Outlook, it'll ask you, do you want to cancel everything that's associated with this? And I said, yes. And I looked at it and there wasn't jack there for the rest of my life. And I'll be honest with you, for the moment, it struck fear in me. I remember the words I asked myself, Melinda. I said, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I panicked for a moment. And at the risk of sounding arrogant, because I practice what I preach, I won't teach theory. And what I teach people is how to program yourself so that when something unfortunate shows up, then we default to a better way of talking to ourselves and being. And what happened to me, and I remember I was sitting right here at this desk, I got this big smile on my face, and I jumped up and I ran into my bathroom and I looked myself in the eyes and I go, Joseph, what do we get to do now? And that question, that conversation with myself caused me, much like yourself, to create a whole new, as you know, that word that we've all become familiar with, pivot. And,
right.
and now I don't have to travel as much. I'm loving being home.
How about that? Right now, we done all figured out how to make money from our living room. I mean, I think my favorite topic is like how to be a spare room tycoon, right? I mean, literally, I mean, I want everybody to know how to make as much money as you can from your living room couch. I believe in it now for sure. But now let's get back to you. So you have this tell, show, do teaching method. Tell me what that is.
It's actually tell, show, try, do. And what that means is if I just tell you something, if I tell somebody, listen, I'm a neuropsychologist by profession, and I had a practice in Los Angeles, freak city. And I'm going to tell you, every thing that you could possibly imagine, every challenge that you could possibly imagine came across my threshold. So I had to learn very, very quickly how to deal with anything. And so if I tell somebody something, then they may believe me. But if they tell themselves something, then they will believe something. So what I do is I'll tell you, you come in and you talk to me. I always tell people, you come into my office, you got a fear of dogs, take a guess what's going to be in my office. Now, I don't tell them up front. You know, they show up and there's going to be a dog there, so I can deal with it right now. So I tell them, here's what we're going to do. You're going to come to me, and in an hour and a half, you're going to hold the puppy. Or whatever it is. And that's my method of coaching, if you will. And so I tell them, and then I show them how that's going to be done through explanation, through examples, through stories, or whatever it is. And I will actually show them a demonstration of it. And then we'll try it together. We'll actually do it together. And then I'm going to give you something to do so that when you're outside of my presence, so when you leave me, you actually are conditioning yourself and it becomes a natural extension of who you are. And that methodology it sticks with people. It makes it so that you are controlling yourself, that you are giving yourself the truth that you need to hear. And that internal dialogue from hell turns into the internal dialogue from heaven and assists you.
I like it. I like it. All right. So you have the tell, show, try, do method, but then you also have the farther, faster method. So do you got to do the first one to get to the second one? Is this like 101 and 102? Joseph, help me understand. When do I need the further, faster method versus the, all right, I'm gonna get you to do something you really don't want to do, but I'm gonna make you like it. So it kind of feels like that. So help me understand.
Yeah, I love what you just said there. I'm going to help you get what you want to do, not what I want you to do, because that's always the first question is what do you want? And I'm going to help you like it and so that you want to do it. And then I'm going to give you something to do so that you continue to do it. And so to answer your question, it's all in one. It's something that I call neuro encoding, again, as I said before. And neuro encoding is the methodology and the process of literally programming ourselves so that we, as I said, default to the behavior that we know is going to serve us and arrest the behaviors that don't serve us. In other words, like I said, procrastination, hesitation, so that when that stuff shows up, we automatically go, hey, wait a minute, that's not me. That's not who I am. And let me step up. And then it conditions us who we are. And so the further, faster process comes around three things. And I call it the 60-20-20 rule. We've all heard of the 80-20 rule, which is 80% psychology and 20% mechanics. 60-20-20 rule is kind of my secret weapon, if you will, and has been through my successes and what I've been able to teach other people as well, is that 60% psychology. And to remove the mystique about psychology is just the constant beliefs that we have about ourselves, other people, and the world around us. That's it. And so if we can, find out what they are, which is, my expertise, for lack of a better term, and adjust those to serve us, then we can shift that. So it's 60% that. It's 20% energy. And when I say energy, and by the way, you got some amazing energy. Just listening to you, watching you, and I'm looking at all the other guests, all of us are lit up and smiling because you have that energy. And from when I say energy, I don't just mean get up and go energy. I mean literally physical electricity. I taught at the University of Southern California for 7 years, and I taught to engineers. So I had to come with real data, real facts about things. And if you measure the electricity that goes through a person when they're excited about something, then it's actually what they call 50 negative millivolts versus 25 when somebody is relaxed. And that person operates there. And if they do, then a couple things happen. And here's where it gets a little cosmic. Can I get cosmic with your peeps?
Get cosmic with me. It's like get jiggy with it. Get cosmic with it, Joseph. Come on.
Here is the secret weapon. These three things together. This is the further, faster. I always ask people, do you want what you want sooner rather than later? If the answer is yes, it's 60% psychology, 20% energy, and 20% magnetism. And I don't mean just the laws of attraction. The laws of attraction are one of the 21 immutable laws of magnetism. Magnetism is science. You want to make a magnet? And by the way, all of us the universe is made of the same stuff, period. I told you I'm going to get cosmic on you. And period. Every single thing, the air we breathe, this Rubik's Cube on my desk, whatever, our hair, everything is made up of electrons, protons, and those things, and neutrons. And those things, the key that makes them all stick together and work are electrons. And electrons is just electricity. And if you want to make a magnet out of anything, you want to make a steel magnet or an iron magnet, bombard it with electrons. That's what makes a magnet. So guess what? If we're all made of the same stuff, then guess what? The more energy that we have, and that energy comes from our psychology, then the more magnetized that we have. But here's the deal. It gives us the ability to magnetize situations, circumstances, and even material things around us. And proof of that is this. And I'll ask you, have you ever been in your car and you feel somebody looking at you and you look over and then there's those eyes?
Yes.
All of us. Or vice versa. Have you ever been in your car and you look at somebody, maybe an attractive person or an interesting person, and they catch you? It happens to all of us. Well, check this out. And this is science. And again, I always say to people, don't take my word for it. Go on YouTube University and look it up. And here's what happens. When we put our attention and intention on somebody else, but it's synonymous with something else, 4 things happen. automatically. Number one, your electromagnetic energy grows, and you can see it. It's called Kirlian photography. You'll see it. The electric field around you grows, which means you become more magnetic. Anything that has electricity is magnetic. The second thing that happens is that person feels it. That's why they feel it, because it hits them. Third thing that happens is their electromagnetic energy grows. And the fourth thing that happens is you become magnetic and attracted to each other. Two magnets are attracted closer to each other than a magnet and steel. Now, are we doing this video as well? Because I can show you something. I can prove it to you.
It is video, yes.
So I'll explain it for those of you that are not watching. I'm going to, first off, I have these two magnets here. Okay. And these are real strong magnets. And watch this. So if I take these magnets this far apart, they're always going to go together. Okay. I'm holding two magnets apart and they go to each other. I just have to let go of one. The reason being is this magnet is sending out electromagnetic, just like looking at that person, it's sending out electromagnetic energy. And so is this one. And so they're close to each other. They're always going to go together. But then I have this ink pen here, and this ink pen has a steel clip on it. We all know steel is attracted to a magnet, but watch this. I do the same thing and it drops. It ain't going to happen. It drops because the pen is not a magnet. But if I magnetize this, it's going to pull to it. Now here's the deal. Here's why people sabotage themselves. And I'm going to point this down to my desk so that you can see this. Okay. So here's these magnets. Now watch. They'll pull together each other like that. But if I flip this magnet over, watch what happens. It pushes it away. Okay. Not some of the time, not many. Even if I force it together, it's going to push it away. Not some of the time, all of the time. Not most of the time, all of the time. And the reason I share that with you is this, that we as human beings, and again, back on the 60-20-20 rule, if we don't have a good psychology about ourselves, about other people and the world around us, and any variation in between there, we're going to demagnetize ourselves and push the things that we want away. That's why we self-sabotage. That's why we do those things. So it's a circle. Long answer to your question, but it is all a circle. I say a loop that when you work on one, it feeds the other and feeds the other, and it comes around. And that's how we change ourselves. That's how we change ourselves in business and whatever we want in our lives.
I love it. That was such a great example. But now we got to go to a break. So this is Melinda Emerson. You're watching the Small Biz Chat podcast, and we will be right back with Joseph Mcclendon III. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady, and I'm known as America's #1 small business expert. I know a thing or two about how to run a successful business. I've been running my own for over 20 years, and I'm often asked, how do I actually become my own boss? It starts with knowing what you want and why. Then you need to figure out how you'll fund your dream business. Next, you must research your idea and make sure you understand everything that's involved. Next, you must determine your target customer, then complete your business plan. And finally, it's time to start your business as a side hustle first, if you can. I wrote my best-selling book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, to give you a roadmap to business success. And over 100,000 people in multiple languages around the world have been helped by this book. And now, to support people affected by this pandemic, I'm giving away 1,000 copies of Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months for free. All you need to do is pay the shipping and handling fees. If you're ready to turn your calling into income, claim your free copy of my book today. Don't delay. This offer is only good while supplies last. Click the button below and get yours before they're all gone.
Welcome back to the Small Biz Chat podcast. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, and I'm back with my guest, Dr. Joseph Mcclendon III. All right, I'm a business coach. You're a therapist / business coach. All right, I want to know, what is the difference between being a therapist and being a business coach? And I ask you that because it is my un-PhD opinion that 50% of all business problems are not so well hidden personal problems.
I would agree with you 1,000%. And you may or may not like my answer to your question about what is the difference. There is no difference. In other words, they're one and the same. You have to be, if you're going to be an effective business coach, business, one of my mentors taught me that business is about people and people is about business. And if you can't deal with the first business person in your business, which is you, and by the way, a coach, it's a business. You're a business coach. In any business coach, what do? They use that methodology of helping people to line their own pockets, grow their own life, make their own. But you got to deal with yourself first. My mentors always taught me, physician, heal thyself first. Go and work on yourself first. So therapy brings with it this shroud of uncertainty about you got to have these degrees, you got to have all that stuff. And though that may help, it's not absolutely necessary. You can become certified in different things and you can learn different things. Therapy means to me just being able to help somebody move off of the dime, help them move. If you're effective in doing that, then you've got some level of therapy in you.
Well, I'm going to find some little certification program to get me a little certification on the wall. No, I'm joking. So, well, tell me, in your work, when you give your keynote speeches and you talk to people, what is the most common topic that you talk about when you talk to audiences of business people?
Yeah, that's why I created Further Faster, because what people talk about is they want what they want sooner rather than later. And the biggest question that people have is, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Why haven't I done this? What do I need to do? What do I need to have? Where do I need to be? And it always circles back around to ourselves. It circles back around to our own challenges that we have. You said it earlier. I think it's actually more than 50% of business challenges start with the person, start with the people. As I said, my mentors taught me that business is about people. And if you don't know how to deal with yourself first, and then secondly, together be able to deal with other people, help other people as well, then you're not going to be as good a business person.
Well, but I think part of the problem is sometimes people think just because they own the business that they're a leader. No, you're just an owner, right? And I think that's actually, it's interesting because in my new book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, which I'm so excited was released this week. I actually wrote a chapter in that book called Your Leadership Matters, because I think people don't know that leadership, just like you would go to get, training for sales or training in negotiation or how to write a business plan, you need to work on your leadership because everyone's following you. And it's hard, right? It's hard to take on 10 to 12 jobs at one time, right? Nobody ever said that was easy. And everybody can't do it, right? We need some people to keep their good jobs, right? So they can hire me and you. But what I'm saying is that one of the things that I worry about is that people really aren't realistic about how their communication style or their leadership style or how they give feedback, how that affects people. Because I'm like, people don't leave people. I mean, people don't leave jobs. They leave people. They tired of dealing with you. That's why they won't come back and work at your restaurant. Because how did you treat them when they were there? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why people don't make the connection to the human condition related to work. Like, because I'm always been of the mindset that if you nickel and dime your employees, they're going to nickel and dime your customers. And that's a dangerous thing, I think, to get into, especially if you're in a service business. But have you seen a lot of that same? Because I believe so many people are completely delusional about their own leadership style.
No doubt. And most people don't even know how to lead or what a leader is. I early on, I've had some unbelievable mentors, and one of my mentors taught me, he says, Joseph, what do you think a leader is? And I go, well, somebody that goes first, and all those clichéic things that we learn, somebody that goes first and so on and so forth. And he goes, no. He said, a leader is somebody with a vision that helps, that empowers and helps other people willingly. And he says, he always goes, people, underline people, not machines, willingly take on that vision, make it their own, and gladly bring it to fruition. And what that means is our vision about our, because we got to lead ourselves first. That's the first thing. If you have an ego, then that's a clear-cut sign that you need some help. You need some, because it's not transparent. People are going to feel that stuff. People are going to look through it and see it. So you got to learn to lead yourself. And then you've got to be able to inspire, you've got to be able to empower and really imbue that vision on other people so that they go, yes, I want that as well. And I'm going to make that happen, not for you, but for themselves.
Yes.
And that's leadership. You know, you said something earlier, feedback style. Feedback quality, how to feed back to somebody, how to go in there and connect with them and have that rapport with them so that they want to work with you, not for you. Nobody wants to work for somebody, even though they'll call you your boss, that kind of thing. But have you ever heard somebody go, yeah, my boss is the greatest? And that doesn't happen that much. It's just like, yeah, my boss said I got to do this. You can help people do something for themselves. You know, Kayla, I was listening to that earlier. Thank you so much for all of your information, Kayla. I was listening to her, what she was talking about. You're talking about working with her children, staying in their lane. That level of leadership, you know, allowing that person to, and I'm sure there's times where you're going to step up and go, hey, I need this done. Maybe this wasn't, but allowing that person to feel good about themselves, that's where business grows.
I love it. I love it. All right, we've got to wrap it up there. But one last question. What is the best business advice anyone's ever given you?
I've had a lot of it, but I think the best was model, mentor, move, and physician, heal thyself, meaning don't teach theory. Model the best, have a mentor, move, do something. Don't sit there, because we can just read books and so on and so forth. You got to get off your butt and move and do something. And then lastly, teach. You know, don't teach theory. Do it yourself and teach it to other people.
Right. In other words, eat your own dog food, right?
Love it.
All right. I love it. Thank you so much, Joseph. Up next, we're going to be talking about all things marketing. You're watching the Small Biz Chat podcast, and we will be right back.
I just finished presenting to over 2,000 small business owners who jumped on my webinar on how to become your own boss in these uncertain times. I partner with top brands including Verizon, American Express, and Chase to educate small business owners across the country. In today's webinar, I taught my 6-step system to start a business. I also taught them how to establish a disaster-proof plan to turn their calling into income. We talked about how to find the people they want to serve online. I know how to help you make money as a boss. I spent the last 12 years compiling exactly what it takes to become your own boss. I even broke it down into a 6-step system in my best-selling book, Become Your Own Boss. Over 100,000 people in multiple languages around the world have this book. And due to the pandemic, I know people need help. If you're ready to transition successfully from being an employee to becoming your own boss, listen carefully. I'm giving away 1,000 copies of my book, Become Your Own Boss, for free. All you need to do is pay for shipping. That's right, I'm giving away 1,000 copies. This book is going to show you how to become your own boss, create a pandemic-proof plan, and launch a successful business. Don't delay. This offer is only available while supplies last.
Welcome back to the Small Biz Chat podcast. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, your host, and I am so excited. We are now talking about marketing. You guys know marketing is one of my favorite topics. My next guest is Rick Koletavitoglu, and he's a serial tech entrepreneur and the founder of 150 Birds, a platform that provides marketing teams and small businesses information they need. Previously, he founded Creators Den, a marketplace for influencer marketing for brands including Netflix, Wella, Pantene, Dell, and Procter & Gamble. And for more information, you can go to 150birds.com. Rick, how you doing?
Doing well. Thanks so much for having me, Melinda.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited to have you here. So tell me, how did you get into the marketing business? Like, you know, were you just one of these little kids that I always wanted to be a marketer? Like, how did it happen?
I started my first startup while still in college. In the business model was a interactive marketing and advertising business model. So once that didn't take off, I just found myself in that space, worked in a marketing role for 3 venture-backed startups, and then later did a fellowship with the founder of Mitel. And right after that, I founded Creator Den, where I worked in primarily in the marketing and sales capacity, as well as the management of the company. And then after selling out of that, I moved to the Silicon Valley, the San Francisco Bay Area, where I became a freelance marketing consultant, working with early stage startups. And that's when I started noticing the inefficiencies in the industry, which led me on the path to founding 150 Birds about a year and a half ago.
Got it. Got it. All right. So you say that marketing is broken today. Yeah. Okay. That's a big statement, Rick. Tell me about how you get there. I mean, I agree with you, but I think I agree with you for different reasons. But you tell me your reason.
For sure. So I think we have to start off with how we got here today, right? So first, there was in-house hiring, bringing on board someone who knew marketing to work for your company and take on that function. And then came the digital marketing agency model. There's about 120,000 of these nationwide. A little over 100 billion spent on online marketing services annually. And then came the freelancer. And it wasn't until the 2010s that the gig economy really started to take off through platforms like Uber and Fiverr and Upwork. And what we believe is that this next decade is all about the knowledge economy coming online. And what we see is the subscription model, the subscription as a service model, which puts the customer at the center of the experience and provides a lot of value up front, is going to be the prevailing model for a more cost efficient and effective marketing approach.
So I know that, and I actually agree with you. You believe that marketing has gotten just way too data driven. Well, does that mean you're like anti-technology in the marketing? Like, how do we kind of ride the middle of that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and not at all. I think what's happened is over the last decade, especially, what we've seen is this proliferation in the number of channels that businesses use now to reach consumers, and that has been widely driven because of the tech boom. Right now, everyone's walking around with a supercomputer in their pocket, unlimited internet connectivity. And what this has given rise to is this omni-channel multiple, whether you're on a social media or you're on a website, brands are looking to bombard you with ads. Now, the way that they can segment their audiences is through that data. So if anything, what it's allowing businesses and brands to do is it's providing now a more effective communication channel. Now, to understand what I mean by this, we'd have to go back to the 50s, really, when there were just 3 television channels that controlled the majority of the content that people consume. And then there are radio and newspapers as well. These are all one-way communication channels. And then it wasn't until the rise of digital and later with social that this started changing, and it started becoming more of a interactive conversation between the brand and the end user. So what digital and data is providing is really a granularity and approach to creating marketing strategies.
But let's talk about how it really relates to real small businesses. So what do you think are the top reasons why marketing efforts fail for a small business?
Yeah, small businesses off the bat are handicapped because they're competing against competitors who have economies of scale, meaning that they are generally their competitors can provide products or services at a more affordable price point to their audiences. So this poses a major challenge for small businesses where they have to now differentiate on factors like quality and the trust they build with their customers, which means the feeling of community becomes crucial here. Mission-driven marketing is important to cultivating this feel around their brand. And because small businesses don't have a comparable advertising budget to larger brands, they have much less reach, meaning they have to make every interaction count. Every interaction along the customer journey, whether it's someone walking into their store, greeting them with a smile on their face, or at the point where the customer interacts with the cashier, providing a pleasant interaction through their employees becomes very important to create that loop so that, okay, now they can come into the store, they make a purchase, and then they can continue that relationship afterward to get them to come back. Just to give you context, Melinda, what we've seen from 2000 to 2020 is the marketing technologies landscape has gone from 100 tools to more than 10,000 today. So these tools help automate a lot of processes and tasks so that small businesses can digitally interact with customers before and after they make a purchase. So I believe that it's time to go digital and leverage these tools for small businesses to really compete and level the playing field with larger businesses.
How do you think the rise of the gig entrepreneur has changed sort of like small business marketing?
Well, it's giving opportunity for businesses to have on-demand access to talent, which is great, right? Because now you have accessibility to any kind of specialization that you need. And then if you take into account what's happened with marketing, there's a growth in the number of channels businesses have to create content for, repurpose, reformat their content across. So one portion of the scenario here is you have to create the content. And then the second portion is now you have to distribute it and reformat it and distribute it across all of these channels. Now, the gig economy is great in the sense that it provides the infrastructure for you to have access to these specialists who can help you do that. But the real problem here is the gig economy is short-term and highly transactional work. So this ends up not really being an extension of your company because these freelancers are constantly looking out to find new work. Now, in the 2020s, what we're seeing is in this next decade ahead is a new type of workforce, which we call the knowledge economy or the subscription workforce, where freelancers plug into highly verticalized platforms like ours to find more long-term and consistent work, which position them to have a more symbiotic relationship with the business.
Well, how has the customer journey map changed over the years?
Now, there are more channels than ever before to reach customers. The key here is to experiment with as many as possible while in the process of identifying what works best for your business. Once you finally identified the most effective channel, double down. Now, the customer journey has primarily gone online. Through pandemic, we've seen about a 40% rise in e-commerce sales. What is projected for us, what we would have seen in 10 years has happened in the last year alone. And this isn't going away. So the future of small business and retail is omni-channel marketing and advertising. So being able to reach your customers across several channels. Now, Most people who sell consumer products, what this could translate to, or the primary channels that you'd like to look at, is going to be social media, as well as influencer marketing for many consumer brands to reach and interact with those audiences.
So don't you think, though, that if you start with your buyer persona and really get clear about your target customer, it'd be much easier to figure out what social media platforms are even worth targeting? I don't know that I agree with you saying try a bunch of stuff and then figure out where your best money is spent and then double down. I feel like you've got to go to that customer persona first and figure out who that customer is, where that customer spends time online, and then double down, like test it, but then double down there, because you start with the customer. You got to meet the customer where they are online, right?
Absolutely. Great point. The truth is, it's very difficult for a small business, to create enough content and have the infrastructure to segment and architect a module that shows personalized content at scale. Now, for a customer to have a real interaction, I think customer support becomes another channel that can be leveraged for small businesses until the technology catches up. But now, with that said, buyer personas are definitely the starting point for any business to have a better understanding of their buyers, so that through that knowledge, you can strategically create a plan that is more geared for those specific buyers. Now, with that said, they are hypotheses to begin with, based on historical data. And when I say, experiment with multiple channels, sure, I think it's great to do so within the realm of what works for that buyer persona.
Okay. All right. So tell me about your firm, 150 Birds. First of all, why did you name it that? And then tell me, what does your company do?
Yeah, sure. So 150 Birds was founded in San Francisco in March of 2020, about a year and a half ago. And 150 Birds is a marketing platform, not an agency, that delivers a holistic marketing plan, service-specific expertise, daily project management. We've developed a network of vetted experts who execute one service specialty for our clients, and we provide the project manage component. We work with small businesses to develop the right strategy and curate the custom flock of freelancers for that specific business. And the name comes from 150 comes from Dunbar's law, the biologist. She figured out that 150 was the optimal number of people one can maintain stable relationships with, while having an understanding of that tribe and how each one of those people relate to one another. And birds, that represents the freelancers that we work with, because they are free to work with whoever they want, wherever they want, as free as a bird. I like the metaphor.
Got it. That's cute. I like it. Now that you explained it to me, I get it. Thank you for explaining it to me. All right, we've got to wrap up now. What is the best business advice anyone's ever given you?
The best business advice I've gotten was from one of my mentors. He taught me how to found a company, the foundational bricks of recruiting people. He told me that, believe it or not, people are willing to work for a lower salary as long as you treat them with respect and you recognize the contributions they have in building your business. That's actually the first priority. The second thing that people look for is ownership, is actually having an equity stake in the company. So as long as you're willing to give them recognition and treat your employees with respect and give them ownership in the company, they're willing to work for a lower salary than they might get somewhere else.
Good stuff. All right. Thank you so much, Rick. I'm really excited. Now we're going to bring back our other two panelists, Kayla Florva. I can't believe I'm messing this up. It's too late. Fioravanti, Joseph Mcclendon III, and Rick. Oh gosh, say it for me, Rick. What is it?
Koletavitoglu.
Kovatala. I can't do it. It's too late at night. I'm sorry. You know my heart. I'm not doing it on purpose. Okay. All right. So let's do this. I want to bring you guys back for what we call our hit it and quit it panel. And I'm going to ask each of you the same question. And we only have two rules. Number one, you have to answer in 30 seconds or less. And two, you cannot repeat somebody else's answer. If you do either of these things, you're going to get the cowbell. I don't want to bring that out. So here's what we're going to do. All right, Kayla, I'm coming to you first. And then I'm coming to you, Joseph, and then you, Rick. So first question, Kayla, what is your favorite podcast?
Oh, well, yours, of course. I am going to be listening to Joseph, though, as well. I'm like, oh, I want to listen to more of what he has to say.
Me too. I'm going to be listening to his podcast, too. All right, Joseph, what is your favorite podcast?
Well, right now it's going to be this one, isn't it? However, I just started listening to Dave Chappelle's podcast, and it is brilliant, brilliant.
I have heard that, so I'm going to have to make an opportunity to check his. I'm always listening to business podcasts. That's my problem. I'm an addict. Hey, Rick, what's your favorite podcast?
Oh, that's hard to say. It'd have to be the 150 Birds podcast.
Shameless plug. I'm not mad at you, Rick, for that. All right, next question. Joseph, I'm coming to you first. Rick, then I'm coming to you, and then Kayla, I'm coming to you third. What is your favorite business app, Joseph? What is your favorite business app?
Instagram.
Listen, that's real. There are people.
I know, right? Instagram is it. Everything has shifted.
All right. I just started an Instagram Reels account, so you got to watch my stuff. All right, Rick, what is your favorite business app?
I'd have to say Upstream. Upstream is an app I use to meet other business professionals. They have office hours, and it's been great.
Interesting. I've never heard of that one, so that's a good one. All right, Kayla, what's your favorite business app?
I'd have to say Facebook. Just able to communicate, reach more people there. I know my team would say Instagram, but it was already used. So
listen, I understand social media is the number one channel these days, so I get it. It's not inappropriate. All right, so the next question, Rick, I'm coming to you first. Kayla, I'm coming to you second, and Joseph, I'm coming to you third. Next question, what is your favorite old school marketing tip? Favorite old school marketing tip?
Oh my God, that's where to begin? I guess just be yourself. You should be you should be whole, and you should just do what your brand says it's going to do, and that builds trust.
All right, I'll take that. Be yourself. All right, Kayla, what's your favorite old school marketing tip?
Give away information. Give away your knowledge. Share.
I agree. And if you're going to do that, you got to give away your best stuff. Don't give away mediocre stuff and think somebody's going to pay you. That's not going to happen. All right, Joseph, what is your favorite old school marketing tip?
Tell a friend and television. That and nowadays it is synonymous with social media. So word of mouth.
All right. Listen, I believe that magic happens over the phone. Pick up the phone and call somebody, whether it's a good day or a bad day, pick up the phone. Magic happens on the phone. All right. Last question. I'm going to go back around. Kayla, I'm going to start with you. Then I'm going to go to you, Joseph, and Rick, we're going to end with you. What is the best business book you've ever read?
Oh gosh. I've read so many. I love Good to Great. And just reading what other people, what made other businesses succeed.
I like that book, and I actually like the follow-up book they did to that one too. All right, Joseph, what's your favorite business book?
The Holy Grails, two of them, Think and Grow Rich and its follow-up, Outwitting the Devil. Where's my microphone so I can drop it?
You're so funny. Follow up, Outwitting the Devil. Now that's a new one. I'm gonna have to go get that.
Listen, they wrote them at the same time, and they did not release Outwitting the Devil until 2011. Listen, you gotta read it.
All right, Outwitting the Devil. That sounds like a good one for a lot of reasons. All right, Rick, what is your favorite business book?
I'm going to have to go with What You Do Is Who You Are by Ben Horowitz, the venture capitalist. And it's all about creating company culture.
I actually like that book too. That's a very good book. My favorite business book, I read this book last year and I've become an addict. I'm addicted to this book. It's called Disrupt You by Jay Samit. And it's one of my very, very favorite books. And Jay has become a good friend of mine. But what I love about this book, he says, if you want to disrupt the world, start by disrupting yourself first. And I'm like, amen to that. All right. Well, with that, guys, that is it. Thank you so much for being such amazing guests tonight. My guest, CBD expert, Kayla Fioravanti. Check out her website, ologyessentials.com. My new good friend, neuropsychologist and podcast host, Dr. Joseph Mcclendon III, and marketing expert, Rick. Say it for me one more time, Rick.
Koletavitoglu.
Koletavitoglu of 150birds.com. I think I'm going to keep saying that in my sleep tonight. Thank you all for joining me for this episode of the Small Biz Chat podcast. If you're still working on your digital pivot, be sure to grab my brand new book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, Revised and Expanded. It was released just this week, and I've got great stuff in there for selling online, how to become a social media ninja 2.0 and develop a sales process. Head over to becomeyourownbossbook.com and grab your copy. I've got some great bonuses over there. And thank you so much for joining me. The mission of Small Biz Chat is to end small business failure. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, and I will leave you with this. You never lose in business. Either you win or you learn. God bless everybody. Good night.